The riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. It's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Why I Hate This Album. I am one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey. With me as always, co-host extraordinaire Artemis Gordon to my Jim West, Timothy Richardson. Tim, how you doing, buddy?
I am jazzed up, friend. I am jazzy this week.
You're downright vibrating with excitement. And Tim, I'm going to have to join you this week. For the first time, maybe ever in the history of the show, I think we might be on the same page. What's got you so electric this week?
Well, we are discussing May 4th, 1999's best song, Willard Carroll Smith Jr.'s Wild Wild West, the lead single from the second Willard Carroll Smith Jr. album, Millennium.
Wow. / a little certain soundtrack.
Don't know what you mean.
I can tell this is going to be difficult. Tim, curious. Let's just get it right out there. I think I know the answer. Do you hate this song?
Absolutely not, Garrett. This is not a good song. It's a bad song, but it's fun bad, and it's something I'm into, especially the topic. We'll get into that later. This is what Lil Nas X's Old Town Road aspired to be.
I would have said the opposite.
What about you, Gary? Do you hate this? Interesting.
Tim, I unabashedly do not hate this.
Oh, excellent. This is going to be fun because I'm going to try and get you there while staying on this side of hate this week.
So your goal, just to be clear, is to get me to hate the song while not convincing yourself to also hate it.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, this is interesting. You don't hate it. I don't hate it. I feel like we don't hate it for very different reasons. Before we talk about the song, though, Tim, I'm curious. Prior to this week, what's your relationship to Wild Wild West and Willard Smith?
I am ashamed to say that I think I pretended to be too cool to absolutely and unabashedly love this song and the accompanying long-form music video when it came out originally in 1999. This came out a few months before I would move to these United States, so I probably didn't see it right when it came out, but I have been aware of this song for about 20 plus years, and I have recently been exposed to it quite a bit. I'm actually a little bit biased this week because this song is, of course, in heavy rotation at various cowboy mixers, hoedown shindigs, hootenannies, raves, jamborees, barn dances. It's, I hear this song often.
Is there a clear and simple way to differentiate a hootenanny from a jamboree?
There is. What about you, Gary? I assume that this is not the first time you've heard this.
No, it isn't. I, of course, have heard this song because I was alive in 1999 and terrestrial radio was still a thing, and this thing was hot. I don't know exactly how well it did, but I'm pretty sure it did okay. In addition to that, what I believe you might be referring to as a music video, most of us knew as a motion picture starring none other than Willard Smith. Who else do we have in the mix? Salma Hayek and what's his face?
Kevin Kline, I think, is who you're referring to. These are all people that starred in the music video, yes.
Right. Don't want to quibble on the details. Can't get hung up on that. You can continue to call it that. I'm going to call it a movie.
I mean, it is feature length, sure.
One of those feature length music videos.
I think Michael Jackson did some of those, right?
Unfortunately, yes, he did.
Right.
Makes my argument difficult.
I mean,
I feel like if you know enough to reference that, then you obviously have the intellect to differentiate and know that this is not that.
I just think it's weird that the song does not play for the first 103 minutes of the music video. That's neither here nor there. I'm sure we'll get into it later.
Right. I have a thorough history with the movie, which we're going to talk about at length. If you don't know this movie, what the hell's wrong with you? I mean, between Tim and I, just this week, forgetting the hundreds of times we've seen it, just this week collectively, we've watched it, 15 times?
Yes.
Maybe even north of 20. And I got to say, Tim, I got a lot of mixed emotions, and we're going to get into the nitty-gritty later, but in picking this song this week, I had an odd journey in that for years, you've asked to do this song, and I have said no. And then like a month ago, I was watching Wild Wild West, as you do, on mute, of course, and it occurred to me, how have we never done this song? And so I said, Tim, would you like to do Wild Wild West? And you did your best to try to stymie your excitement, but you did a terrible job. You agreed.
Oh, yeah, I whooped and threw my cowboy hat in the air.
Right. Right. And then
Clicked my spurs together.
I immediately remembered why we've not done this song. Because I was focusing on the giant spider of it all.
Sure. And that was a big part of the Old West.
Of course. Check your history books. But I now realize that I should have been focusing on the cowboy aspect of it.
Or at least the half man.
I see the half man, great topic to bring to the show, and we're going to get into it. But cowboy, strict no-go here on the show ever since you joined that organization.
Yeah.
But yet here we are. So I feel like we've all signed up for a whole bunch of dumb cowboy shit. I'm sorry, everybody. Okay, Tim, that's my history. That's your history. Before we can talk about the song, we need to understand a little bit about the man, or men, probably man, who made it. So take us on a journey. Help us understand who is Willard Smith and how did this song come to be?
This week is going to be a little bit embarrassing for both of us, unfortunately. It seems like way back in October 2019, we did an episode that featured Mr. Willard Carroll Smith Jr. along with Jeffrey Allen Towns. You may better know him as DJ Jazzy Jeff. What neither Garrett nor I knew at the time is that Willard, aka the Fresh Prince, aka the actor we all know and love as Will Smith, star of such feature films as The Legend of Badger Vance, Jersey Girl, 7 Pounds, Anchorman 2, Winter's Tale, and Concussion, that's all the same person. And both Garrett and I are ashamed of this admission. We have done our best to educate ourselves better on the career of Willard Smith, putting the two pieces together, and we vow to be more relentless in our pursuit of truth and our pursuit of happiness in the future. And Garrett, I have to say, I'm not blaming you entirely for the oversight, but as the resident movie and actor buff, I am really surprised that you are also completely unaware of this fact.
Right, yeah. I spent a good portion of that episode trying to convince you of just these facts. And I'm going to slap that nose bloody as soon as these mics are off. It will take the strength of an army to take these hands off that nose.
Well, this is going to be a long one, folks. We may never end this episode. That sounds terrifying. Perhaps we'll go straight into next week's episode. Jesus Christ.
I am furious with you. I am sweating.
Anyway, moving on in an attempt to distract Garrett from his planned beating, a brief history of Mr. Willard Carroll Smith Jr. He was born in 1968 in West Philadelphia, and he was raised a Baptist in a Catholic school by a school board administrator and a refrigeration engineer. He did not apply to, also did not get into, also did not turn down a scholarship to MIT, although this has been widely reported by the fake news media, crisis actors and whatnot. Willard did say...
I think it was just him, mostly.
Fake news.
Okay.
My mother, who worked for the school board of Philadelphia, had a friend who was the admissions officer at MIT. I had pretty high SAT scores, and they needed black kids, so I probably could have gotten in, but I had no intention of going to college. Now, Garrett, he had no intention of going to college because he wanted to rap, and rap he did as the Fresh Prince MC of DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. Now, these two were introduced in 1985, the year of my birth, according to the book of WIHTAIUC, and Jazzy...
The IUC again is the...
In-universe continuity, of course.
In-universe continuity, of course.
Jazzy was performing at a house party next door down the street from Willard's house, but was missing his hype man, so Willard filled in and hit it off, performing and recording several competent but pretty forgettable and also Grammy-winning records. Also mostly forgotten during this time is Willard's 1989 assault charge on his record producer, but that's neither here nor there. But Willard didn't pay his taxes. Garrett, he just did not pay them. And
I didn't know this.
He was hit with a $2.8 million tax bill. So Willard and NBC hatched a plan, and they made this shell sitcom to fix the problem. They called it The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and that aired from 1990 to 1996 and completely solved this problem. I personally think it was insane that he was still on that show when both Bad Boys and Independence Day were filmed. Like, isn't that weird?
It's really weird. God, can you imagine what his life was like? He couldn't have gone anywhere.
Yeah, because of the ankle bracelet.
No. Do you believe it was court ordered that he participate in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
No, absolutely not. I think that was done on on his behalf by NBC solely to get out of tax liability.
How would that happen?
Well, he was a rapist, you see.
Uh-huh.
And that was a television show. So they faked a career for him. It just happened to take off.
I'm not
They were going to
following.
do a producers. This guy's a rapist. He's not an actor. They were going to do a producers where basically they put him on a television show that failed, losing him a lot of money on paper only.
I see.
NBC was going to shoulder all of that, of course, and then he could claim those losses to get out of that tax bill.
I see. But what would NBC's incentive be to do that?
Will Smith, love his
Okay.
raps.
I see.
They were in the business of Fresh Prince rapping, and honestly, it kind of screwed them when it took off. Again, much like the producers.
Okay, so I just want to take a quick moment. First, thank you for that. Second, everybody, super sorry that I indulged him. Tim, no.
After a brief foray into movie stardom to hide from the IRS, Willard was all paid up and was ready to return to music. He recorded Men in Black and Gettin' Jiggy with It, both of which had feature-length films/music videos of the same name to promote them, and he released Big Willie Style. How many copies would you guess that Big Willie Style sold, Colonel?
Let's see. 4 million.
9 million copies in the U.S. alone. It is certified non-Apple Platinum. Wow.
So that's how you can make like 20 shitty movies in a row.
Yes.
That's also how you can have kids that literally can just be doing whatever the fuck and it will not matter.
Yeah.
You do not have to have a real job.
Killing horses.
What?
Allegedly. In
What
that
do
I
you
am
know?
alleging.
Okay.
Then Big Willie starred in Enemy of the State, a movie that kind of holds up on rewatch. Did that recently.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then he turned down The Matrix, which...
Yeah, just didn't get it.
Yeah. He later said that he has no regrets. He thought Keanu Reeves did a better job than he would have.
I tend to agree.
Yeah, probably. The other thing is that revitalized Larry Fishburne's career because they weren't going to put two black guys in that movie.
1999 Hollywood, you bet they can't.
Yeah.
What will the white people do, Tim?
Right. Of course. No one's going to that movie.
Also, I mean, Keanu Reeves, people forget, especially the first Matrix, good portion of that movie, your main character has to look really confused.
Yeah.
Who better to look super confused than Keanu Reeves?
That's
Keanu,
true.
I know you're a sometimes listener. He likes to, only the ones that he knows the albums. He's not a dedicated fan. That's fine. Keanu, I want you to know, I think you're absolutely adorable, sir. I think you're a lovely man, a gentleman, and a scholar.
I do
but
too.
you also are really good at, no, don't, Tim.
I'm going to join in because I've got
Step.
some negative things to say in a bit. So I'm gonna get in on his good side early.
It is weird that the conversation's going to continue in any way about Keanu Reeves, but okay, continue.
So I recently purchased and watched John Wick, the original one.
Okay.
I am the only human being that thinks this. That movie sucks.
Yeah, you're the only person that thinks that.
Yeah, but it does. I'm right. But no one agrees with me.
No, nobody.
I just
nobody
cannot
agrees.
see what people see in it.
What about 2 and 3?
The problem is you're watching Man on Fire, but bad. Just watch Man on Fire. It's the same movie.
I see your problem. I don't agree with you. You want a better movie.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's a bad movie.
John Wick is a technical demonstration.
Oh, sure.
The movie
Listen, they do some neat stuff in it,
happenstance.
but I have no interest in watching the movie.
Sure.
It's overwrought. Come on.
I think you just have to readjust your expectations of what you're watching.
Yeah, garbage.
No.
Anyway, Willard Smith then recorded the song of the week, Wild Wild West, and in lieu of making The Matrix, he made an entirely self-indulgent 107-minute music video to go along with it, 103 minutes longer than the song itself. That song went on Millennium, which was certified double platinum, and also featured the song Will 2K, a ripoff, of course, of Rage Against the Machine's Why Tim K. Then he did Ali, Men in Black 2, a film, or I guess technically also a music video based around his single Black Suits Comin', Bad Boys 2, I, Robot, I Am Legend, which is a really good book and a pretty bad movie that completely excises the whole reason for the title of the book, Hancock, Men in Black 3, After Earth, Concussion, where he played Bennett, Amalu, allegedly the discoverer of CTE, Suicide Squad, Aladdin, for which he had a gold certified version of Friend Like Me, Gemini Man, Spies in Disguise, and then briefly and intermittently returned to music during this period, including guest vocaling on the 2018 World Cup official song song, Live It Up. It's a really weird career that is mostly based on people just loving his acting and him using that love to make people listen to him sing, which is what he wants to do. In his mind, all these movies are just vehicles to get those songs out there. And again, but mostly Garrett, apologize for not realizing this was the same guy as the Fresh Prince the last time.
I'm glad you said that. You know why? Because I'd forgotten that after these mics go off, I'm slapping your nose sideways. You're going to hear it break multiple times.
I don't want that.
Nobody does, Tim, but you just insist on making me a buffoon on this show. And so I'm just going to break that face, allegedly.
I don't. Okay.
That brings us up to speed, right, Timmy?
Yep.
Great job. I think before we can really talk about it, we need folks to have a taste. So here you go. Mr. Will Smith featuring Kool Moe Dee, Drew Hill, Stevie Wonder, and gentleman, I think that's about it, right?
Cisco's in there. The
Cisco's
guy,
there,
man.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. How could I forget Cisco? Future guest of the show, Cisco. Here it is, folks. Wild, Wild West.
I mean, it's great, right?
It is. Okay, so truth time. When this song came out, I absolutely could not stand it.
Well, sure, of course, because when this came out, I was 14. I probably heard it for the first time when I was 15. You were, I believe,
16.
IUC, Garrett. 23.
IUC?
23. 43. Okay.
Yeah.
So old. The point is, we were both young men pretending to be too cool to just truly embrace how great this song is.
It is
great.
No, here's the thing. Returning to it, looking back from 2021, 1999 is adorable.
Yeah, it's a bizarre time.
It's so strange. And also, after having done this show now for something like 3+ years and really forced ourselves to listen to just music, forget the fact that it's awful a lot of the time. Like, we've just listened to hours upon hours of music. You start to notice some stuff. And so I'm going to begin today's assessment of Wild Wild West with a huge compliment, Tim. I am utterly shocked at the production of this song. It is so good. It is mind-boggling. When you take into account that somebody had the ability to take the bass line and the sample of Kool Moe Dee, Wild Wild West, combine it with the rhythm and loop from Stevie Wonder's song, and then bring in Cisco as a falsetto rapper over it, and then somehow convincingly get Will Smith to rap family-friendly bars about a movie that makes no sense at all, and have it sort of concisely tell a story is remarkable.
I'm going to argue this. I think they made the song and then based the movie around the nonsense he was spouting. Like, I think they named the characters based on people that he named in this song.
It would make way more sense. It would explain the numerous plot holes and things that seem to go nowhere.
Explain why Cisco's in that movie.
I absolutely love Cisco in this song.
Yeah, he's delightful. Yeah, like you said, it samples Stevie Wonder's I Wish. He gets a songwriting credit. He does get Kool Moe Dee to actually perform on the song. And this is the first appearance by Jaden Smith, to be known to future societies as the good one, on the single. He babbles a bit before the song actually starts. I think he's like, I don't know, months old at this point.
Yeah, maybe not months. I mean, everyone's months old, but
yeah, but
the number of months
possibly less than a year, or close to.
Do they talk that coherently?
I don't know, man.
Fair enough. Yeah, in any event, yeah, it does open with him requesting this song.
Also, the other elephant in the room here, obviously I am super into the concepts in this song, everything this represents. Now, is Will Smith an actual cowboy?
Oh, I was going to ask it. Is he a cowboy?
Well, I know for a fact he's not a member of the main cowboy official organization or
Did you say cult?
I did not. Not. Or any splinter groups. He's no rogue rough rider, etc. He may have become a cowboy by accident, and so it's not technically cheating. Like, I am fully willing to accept this song wholesale if there was evidence that, say, Willard was bitten by a cow in early 1998. Like, that would give him enough time for the transformation to take place.
Oh, boy. I'm going to have to really stop the episode. I'm going to have to stop things for a moment, and boy, I'm going to be really walking through a minefield here, so I'm going to try to keep it clean. Is that the only way a cowboy's created, Tim?
Well, it's okay. It's like Spider-Man, right?
No, I was afraid of that.
Everyone that's bitten by a cow turns into a cowboy. But, like, imagine, stop laughing. God damn it. All right.
Nobody's bitten by cows.
Every cowboy you've ever seen's been bitten by a cow. Garrett, here, let me, I know you hate it when I do this, but let me whip off my shirt and show you my left shoulder here.
All right. Oh, God.
Yeah, that's a giant infected cow bite. I guess technically...
How recently did that happen?
It's been a year or so.
Oh, my God.
It's not getting better. Technically, we should be called cow mouth bacteria boys, but it just doesn't have the same ring to it. The point is...
They're not Komodo dragons, Tim.
Listen.
Just soap and water.
Listen.
You're definitely not showering the way I'm showering.
Well, you won't let me listen. If you're bitten by a cow, you do technically become a cowboy, although, it's like being a vampire. If you're bitten by a vampire, but you don't know, you might accidentally wander out into the sun and, how that ends.
Sure.
You don't know the rules. You're just a jackass that's been bitten by a wild animal. Now...
So, Tim, is it I am frustrated
You
that this is
didn't think it was just the oddly large belt buckle and hat, did you?
I thought that was about 80% of it, to be honest.
I mean, it is. It's a lot of it. But the cow bite is very important. The cow bite is, of course, part of our ceremonies. Every cowboy is ceremonially bitten by a cow.
Okay, so now we are back on track. This is what I was going to ask, because in case anybody's confused, if this is your first episode, I'm terrifically sorry.
Yeah, you picked a bad one.
I mean, it's going to be great, but you're going to have to deal with a lot of this. Now, Tim is part of a cowboy sex cult cowboy sex organization.
There you go.
That he claims makes him a cowboy and therefore able to speak on cowboy. Okay, you know what? Let me give you a compliment, Tim. And I will say you are the resident cowboy expert on the show, just barely, but that is your title. So he is the authority on all topics cowboy. However, this cow bite theory of yours is new.
It's not new. It's just never come up before.
Okay, so, you've answered the question, but I want to make sure everybody caught it. In your ceremony, you're saying that you were not bitten beforehand. You were not bitten by an errant cow and then either compelled or sought out like-minded individuals who were also dealing with
I joined an organization once I'd worked myself up through the ranks. They allowed the great cow to bite me, and I officially...
The great cow. I have so many questions, and I know not to ask most of them, but I have to ask some of them in the interest of the show. This is what you brought to the table, so I'm going to eat it. Is the great cow the only cow that can create a cowboy, or is that...
No, it's just the ceremonial cow that the organization has.
Sure. It's just one you're particularly partial to.
Well, I mean, it has been anointed, if that's what you're asking. The cow has had its own ceremony.
Where it bit itself?
I'm going to be honest with you, Garrett. I suspect that cow was once a cowboy. I have no evidence of that. I have not found that in the Great Cow texts.
Right. So by that implication, you believe the final stage of cowboyhood to be transformation into a full-on cow. Do you think this is where cows come from?
I don't know, to be honest. I'm becoming fearful of that.
Interesting. Well, folks, we can't dwell on this any longer, but do tune in every week for more updates on the Great Cowspiracy. I'm sure this will not end here. Possibly not even end here in this episode. But I have to put it to a stop because this is a music podcast, not a cow one. God damn it. Okay, so I would say, Tim, 1999 really snuck this song in. We don't get this anymore. There's no happy raps, right?
Very few, yeah. Most of them seem bored.
I liken this closer to like a Pharrell happy.
Sure.
Like not in style, but like in purpose.
Yeah, but this is about a very specific thing. You could put happy over, 80% of commercials that are currently
this is where you refusing to acknowledge that this was made for a film is going to make this a difficult conversation.
Well, no, I'm just saying even if it had been and it wasn't, it's still about a very specific topic, whereas you're happy is a very general sentiment.
Yeah, it's super weird to have such a mainstream hit that's about a movie that, I didn't look up how the movie did.
It didn't do that great.
That's even weirder. Here's a song about the Wild Wild West that has a lot of very specific references you're never going to get. What was going on in 1999 that this was acceptable?
John Peters was doing a lot of cocaine.
Right, allegedly.
Yeah, this grossed $113.8 million domestically, 108.3 overseas, grossed a total of $222.1 million on a budget of approximately $170 million. So, did not make its money back.
No, I was going to say they might have broken even. I don't know if they spent quite as much on marketing back then. Maybe
well, even
more
if they did, like, they don't get all that money from the theater.
No.
I mean, if you're making $113 million domestically, you're making, I don't know, at most
65.
Yeah, exactly. And then overseas is
foreign,
less.
It's a third.
Yeah.
This has been Movie Chat, folks. If you ever want us to have a podcast that we actually know some things about, film would probably be that podcast, but we just don't have the time.
This was the most expensive film ever made, adjusting for inflation, when it was released.
That's incredible. I knew it was a lot, but having watched this film no less than 7 times this week, always on mute, while listening to Wild Wild West on the loop, I gotta tell you, it is trash.
Yeah.
Pure trash. I mean, the movie's great. It's amazing. Go watch Wild Wild West on mute while listening to Wild Wild West on the loop. But, I mean, it's bad. It's crazy. It's not okay. There's a lot of hanging jokes that I'm not real happy about.
Yeah, it seems to not know, and you'll find this surprising for a comedy about 1870 or so that was made in 1999, doesn't really have a good balance on just how funny to make slavery.
Yeah, too soon, turns out.
Let's get into these lyrics.
You're right. And I want to start right up top with the intro, Tim. You, for years, just randomly would go, wiki, wiki, wild. And I knew what you were referencing, but I did not know it was that obvious. It was that ridiculous.
Yeah,
in
you
this
forget.
song. Yeah, like I thought that was like super buried in the mix somewhere and probably wasn't Will. It was probably some backup singer. No, this song
this is Will Smith going, wiki, 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 wow.
Yeah, it opens with, wiki, wiki, wow. Wiki, wiki, wow. Wiki, wow. Wiki, wiki. That's the opening to this song. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds great.
Okay. And so this song, folks, if you haven't watched the movie, you're missing out because this song is going to tell the story of Jim West.
Well, really, the movie is going to tell the story of this song.
However you want to look at it, Tim, the right way or the wrong way, we're both talking about a great film and its corresponding song.
Yes.
Wild Wild West, yeah. Jim West, Desperado, Rough Rider, no you don't want nada. None of this, 6 gunning this, brother running this. Buffalo Soldier, look, it's like I told you. Any damsel that's in distress, be out of that dress when she meet Jim West.
So
he is an AWOL Buffalo Soldier.
And he's gonna fuck.
Well, this is about expectations, Tim. He's a tough customer.
That's fair, yes.
And he wants to let any damsel that's in distress know that, sure, I'm absolutely going to save you. I'm Jim West, but going to need you to get out of that dress afterwards.
Right. I have expectations.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. You know what? We might want to even back that up a little bit. Take it all the way back to implication. There's an implication. Hey, I saved you. You were tied to that railroad track. That thing was going to turn you into 3 pieces.
Yeah,
maybe we take off some of those, what are those called? Petticoats? Get those petticoats off.
The implication is I saved you from the railroad. Yeah, I saved you from the railroad track, but we're out here in the middle of nowhere. There's always another train.
Always another train, always another rattlesnake. This gun's not doing much right now. I don't think forensics will be invented for another 50 years. So, I'll just shoot you in the desert. Pretty grim start to a pretty upbeat film.
Yeah, I'll just shoot you in the desert. Garrett Harvey, In Conversation, June 8th, 2021. That's how it's done.
Yep, that is how it's done.
Roughneck, so go check the law and abide. Watch your step or flex and get a hole in your side. Swallow your pride. Don't let your lip react. You don't want to see my hand where my hip be at. With Artemis, from the start of this, running the game, James West taming the West, so remember the name.
All right. I have a lot I want to get into here, Tim. Let's start at the top. He's a roughneck, so go check the law and abide. He's a law-abiding citizen. He wants to make sure that everybody's minding their P's and Q's, and if you're not, he will shoot you in the side.
Yeah, he's a fucking narc.
Yes.
A murdering narc.
Sure. He also doesn't want to hear any lip. It took me a while to understand, swallow your pride, don't let your lip react. So after he tells you to straighten up and fly right, no spitting in front of the ladies, don't mouth off, or he'll shoot you in your side.
Yes. Now, okay, let me throw this at you. If this was based on the movie instead of the other way around, which is, I'm clearly correct, why would you not have Kevin Kline and Selma Hayek rapping on here instead of Cisco and Kool Moe Dee, etc.?
Tim, I'm going to show you the next line of my notes. It says in all bold here, where is Kevin Kline and why isn't he rapping?
Exactly. Yeah, because, and I'll tell you why, he was not in mind for this role when this was sung. They were going to put Cisco in the music, or in the movie, but then it was just, again, 1999, racist country, two black guys aren't going to carry the movie. So they had to put Kevin Kline in. The studio refused to let him in there.
I don't know about that.
I assume Kool Mo D was going to play the president.
I would have been on board for that. I love Kool Mo D.
Yeah, you do.
So, Tim, as is the custom of the show, to prove to everybody that we are not full of shit, just below that line I read to you, where's Kevin Kline and why isn't he rapping? Because we have the line with Artemis from the start of this, running the game, James West taming the West, so remember the name. We get the shout out to Artemis, but how much more compelling would it be if we had an Artemis verse? So I tried to put myself into the mindset of young Artemis Gordon, played by, of course, Kevin Kline, and I did my best. I'm no lyricist, but I wrote some bars, and if you don't mind, I'd love to read them as best I can.
I'd prefer if you rapped them.
Well, sure. I mean, I'll do my best, but of course, again, as the character U.S. Marshal Artemis Gordon.
Well, right, yes, you're Kevin Kline, so you don't have to rap this any better than he would.
Yeah, well, that's good, because I probably can't. Okay, I might have to do it twice. Artemis in the club, Smith Wesson on my hip, horse hitched on the post while I talk up a bitch. Other cowboys bout them stacks and making it rain. I rock the wacky contraptions on a motherfucking train. Bitches want me for my brain. It's always the same. Hop on my train. Now she giving me brain. I can't complain. Some bitches want a conversation, so it's off to the next station. No time to be patient. Your boy Gordon looking for some tops, so let's make a stop atop the next block and pick up a bitch that got the itch. Take a ride aboard the brain train. Thank you, Tim. How do you feel about that?
That was some quality raps.
Why, thank you. Now, of course, that's Artemis Gordon's rap, not mine.
Well, sure, of course. You're not a rapist.
No,
he is. Now I feel bad about how much I prepared for this week. Insufficiently, apparently.
It took like 5 minutes. Okay, so the song continues. Now, this is why I love the show, Tim. Real discovery here. I have heard this song 3,000 times if I've not heard it once.
It's embarrassing, right?
Absolutely. That's the right reaction. The song goes, now who you gonna call? Not the GBs. Now who you gonna call? J-Dub and AG, of course, Jim West and Artemis Gordon. What the fuck? Is it a rights thing?
I assume so. I think that this is the same thing that he had with Freddy Krueger, where he did this song before he bothered to check with the studio to see if they wanted it. Maybe this was going to be a Backdoors Ghostbusters music video that just had some old Westy parts, and then once they finished it up, he was just like, well, it kind of fits more with the Western, and Ghostbusters said no.
He called up the studio. Guys, I'm writing a song. It's all about the Ghostbusters. We're going to need a 90-minute music video. Calls him 3 days later. You know what? This is really a lot more about cowboys than I thought it was going to be. It's really only got the one line about the Ghostbusters. I'll just change it to GBs. No one will ever notice. But yeah, who are you going to call? Not the GBs.
Now, I like what you said there, because my life took a very drastic turn based on exactly that decision.
I'm sorry, what?
I was going to be a Ghostbusters cosplayer.
Okay, that's not a career, but go on.
Well, no, it's not a career, of course. That was just going to be my hobby.
Okay.
I started getting into it, and then I decided, you know what? Cowboy. That's a real thing. Ghostbusters aren't even real.
Okay. So this whole Cowboys situation is because you wanted to be a Ghostbuster?
No. The Ghostbusters thing was just a passing fancy. I just wanted to do something on a weekend once, and that just happened to be the weekend that I found out Cowboys are real. Didn't know I had to get bitten by a cow, though. Might have said no, because this thing is, Garrett, I haven't moved my left arm in quite some time.
Yeah, now that you say it, it explains that incredibly terrible game of horse we had yesterday.
Yeah, explains the smell, too.
Yeah, I mean, it does. It certainly contributes to the bouquet. All right. The song continues with the chorus. This time we get Kool Mo D, Will Smith, and Cisco all together for, if you ever riff with either one of us, break out before you get brum rushed at the Wild Wild West. When I roll into the Wild Wild West. When I stroll into the Wild Wild West. When I bounce into the Wild Wild West. Sorry.
Let's stop right there.
Yes.
Roll into the Wild West, that makes sense. Stroll into the Wild West, that makes sense. Bounce is a weird one.
I guess, Tim. I mean, I don't think they're physically bouncing, if that's your issue.
Well, maybe he's bouncing on on the saddle there. But
okay, there you go. Seems like you answered your own question. Bit of a trot.
Okay.
God, that's got to just wreak havoc on your nethers.
Well, yeah.
Okay. So while Kool Moe Dee very characteristically and stoically says Wild Wild West, then Cisco has a fit in the middle of the song and begins screaming Wild Wild West before it devolves straight into the Wild Wild West, and on and on. After the chorus, then finally we turn to some very interesting and deep cuts from the music video or movie, depending upon how you look at it. Now, once upon a time in the West, madman lost his damn mind in the West. Loveless kidnapped a dime, nothing less. Now I must put his behind to the test. Can you feel me? Couple things here. Very interesting details. So the first is, this is the introduction of our villain, Dr. Arliss Lovelace, the ex-Confederate soldier and the founder and leader of the Loveless Alliance, an organization of foreign Caucasian ministers and slave owners who plan to overthrow the United States government and divide the nation among themselves. But of course, you knew all that, right, Tim?
Via spiders.
Correct. Giant mechanical spiders, to be more specific.
Sure.
But when we turn to the line, Loveless kidnapped a dime, nothing less. It's not nothing less, and it could just be a colloquialism or somebody trying to phonetically spell out what they heard. But nothing less is very interesting, because if you are a scholar of this film, and I'm sure many of you out there are, you will remember the scene where Arliss Lovelace is introduced in the film, or should I say reintroduced. And Tim, if I may, I'd love to do, we haven't done one of these in a bit, a dramatic reading from the film or music video Wild Wild West, aka the introduction of Arliss Lovelace.
Oh, please.
Is that okay with you? All right. Well, y'all look like you've seen a ghost. It's me, dear friends, alive and kicking. Well, alive anyway. We may have lost the war, but heaven knows we haven't lost our sense of humor. No, not even when we've lost a lung, a spleen, a bladder, 2 legs, 35 feet of small intestine, and our ability to reproduce, all in the name of the South. Do we ever lose our sense of humor? Now, Tim, what I want to focus on there is that ability to reproduce. I take you back to the line, kidnapped a dime, nothing less. Is this a subtle knock to the fact that Arliss Lovelace can't make babies?
Possibly.
Tim, I might have, and I don't want to overstate this. I might have watched this movie too many times.
No, you didn't. You didn't.
Okay.
I really like how he says intestine. Gotta start saying it that way.
Okay. I don't know if he says it that way.
He does. I was actually going to scream at you if you said it wrong, because I really like it.
Wow, you are a complicated little beast. The song continues. Oh, well, Tim, I have to say, we may have to cut this one, but I'll give it a go if you'd like me to. I did write a very small Arliss rap.
Oh, God. Yeah, but God.
Arliss Lovelace, you thought I was gone, but I'm just half a man like that STP song. Behold my spider, tremble in fear, I like a woman with a round derriere. No, don't pity clap me. I could see the disappointment on your face when there wasn't a second verse. That's okay, Tim. I only had time for the other one.
I liked it. It was good. I like the voice. I like the derriere. I like that word too.
Sure. And there's a reason that I included that line. It's a reminder to me to reference the fact that Arliss Lovelace, our villain in the film, has an army of ladies. Did you notice this?
He does. Yeah, he's like a Muammar Gaddafi.
He is like a Muammar Gaddafi. He's got a real harem.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what he called it.
Well, that's what he was doing.
Sure. I mean, it was several indentured slaves purely for his sexual gratification. God damn,
also
that guy
for
got
fighting.
What he deserved. The women fought?
Yeah, his personal guard.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he had essentially an Arliss Lovelace.
Were they all wearing some sort of steampunk lingerie?
No. They were wearing very sexy Middle Eastern combat fatigues.
Complicated little beast.
That is fair.
Then through the shadows in the saddle, ready for battle, bring all your boys in, here come the poison. Behind my back, all the riffing you did, front and center, now where your lip at, kid, looking at me. Tim, now this verse seems to imply that Jim West has the same omniscience of the viewer of the movie and knows that Lovelace was talking shit about him.
Well, yes, because again, the movie is just an interpretation of this song. It's a music video.
You're making this very difficult. Sure, I was going to say that he might have some sort of remote viewing skills, but let's go with your thing.
It's John Peters, man. John Peters did a bunch of cocaine and tried to turn this into cinema.
Allegedly. We should never say that John Peters definitely did a bunch of cocaine.
Well, he definitely did. We just don't know if it was this time. So allegedly this time, but definitely at some point.
Well, there's one thing you can definitely say of John Peters. Would you say?
Nothing.
Did you say something about cocaine?
No.
Hair. He's got quite a coiffed head of hair.
Well, he was Barbra Streisand's hairdresser.
Yeah, you would imagine if he could do anything right, it would be hair.
And he does
and
do it
Superman
right.
sequels.
Yeah.
Anyway, the song continues. Who dat is? A mean brother, bad for your health. Looking damn good, though, if I could say so myself. Told me Loveless is a madman, but I don't fear that. He got mad weapons, too. Ain't trying to hear that. Just to be clear, Jim, he has tanks, cyborgs, and a giant mechanical spider, as well as that lady army. So you should definitely listen.
Was it a cyborg or an android?
Cyborg. Android would imply there was no biological tissue. And that man was mostly man.
I don't know, mostly. It sounded like there was a lot of metal under that skin. I assumed it was like a Terminator situation where instead of, well, I mean, it wasn't synthetic skin. They stole someone's skin and put it on a robot.
Yeah, but it looked like it had a blood supply too.
No, Terminator had a blood supply.
But it was the Old West. It was 1869. That technology had not been developed.
They were time travelers, you son of a bitch.
Oh my God. We're going to have to start at the beginning of the song if they're time travelers because I have not taken them.
Terminators. I'm just saying it's possible.
Right,
I don't want to.
Hold on. Hold on.
No, we can't go back. We can't go back.
We won't go back. I just want to shine a small light on what you just said. Terminators may have gone back in time, been captured, reprogrammed, or at least repurposed, and potentially even kind of rebuilt a little bit by Arliss Lovelace in the West to help him with his plan for global domination.
Yes, well, Terminators are well known to have been racists.
That's true. That's 100% true. And like the weird old school racists too. Like not just the obvious ones like skin color, but also like, I don't like Polish people.
Right.
Was there one true race for the Terminator? Don't say robots.
Well, then I have nothing to say. I was going to say machine if that helps.
It does help. Trying to bring me down, the champion? When y'all clowns gone, see that it can't be done. Understand me, son. I'm the slickest they is. I'm the quickest they is. Did I say I'm the slickest they is? So if you barking up the wrong tree, we comin'. Don't be startin' stuntin'. Me and my partner gonna test your chest. Loveless. Can't stand the heat, then get out of the wild, wild west. He's a fast draw.
This is a very accurate description of cowboys. All these hip-hop brags make way more sense. All hip-hop brags in general, really, make way more sense coming from the mouth of a man dressed as a cowboy. It does give me a little bit of pause because, I mean, I think we all know of cowboys as America's silent warriors. So even though they, and by they I mean we, have the right to brag, we don't.
I don't agree with any of those statements. All right, where was I? Oh, well, I'm really curious. Where are your duel skills at?
Oh, getting better every day. Yeah.
Every day is an odd way to say that. So do you think you would beat me in a duel?
Yes.
Really? 10 paces?
Well, so here's the problem. I don't trust you to take the full 10.
It's good instinct. All right, let's continue on then. Then we go back to the chorus again, which I will not read because, my God, that's so many wild, wild wests. Then we get some sort of breakdown where Cisco begs for the song to end.
He does. It's very long. There's a lot of words in here.
It's crazy.
Verse 3 now. To any outlaw trying to draw, thinking you're bad, any drawing on West, best with a pen and a pad. Don't even think about it. 6-gun, weighing a ton, 10 paces in turn. 1, 2, 3. Just for fun, son. Bang. And this is the reason that I do not want to get in a duel with you, because this does not match the cowboy ethos. Willard only counts to 3 before he turns and fires. That is not a cowboy move. That is a Garrett move.
It is a classic Garrett move. 10 paces on 3, shot in the back.
You did the same thing whenever we dueled with fireworks.
I did do that.
Yeah. I still have a hole in the hair on the back of my head from when a Roman candle shot me in the back of the head at 3.5 paces.
Duel 1.
Yeah, this is why I'm practicing with the gun, Garrett.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, got dark.
Remember the Ring of Fire that day?
Ooh, I love the Ring of Fire. Those are fun. Anyway.
There was no predicting who was going to be set on fire by that pile of works.
Yes. Anyway, up till sundown, rolling around. And that's a weird thing. I feel like it should be up till sun up, right?
Yeah, that's when most of the crimes happen, but whatever.
See where the bad guys are to be found and make them lay down. The defenders of the West, crushing all pretenders in the West. Don't mess with us, because we in the wild, wild West. Again, that part's pure cowboy.
I got a real Bad Lieutenant vibe from that line. Where he says, see where the bad guys are to be found and make them lay down. Like, I feel like I just picture him like pulling up on his horse, getting off and be like, what are you boys doing? Nothing. Why don't everybody just get up against the wall? We'll have a quick search. Oh, come on, man. Maybe he just hassled Arliss Lovelace a bunch, tipped over his wheelchair, turned a good man bad, Tim. He was a veteran.
Possibly.
Starting to feel for this Arliss fella.
Yeah.
Arliss, Tim.
I mean, I assume that Will Smith cut this man in half.
Yeah, that's what I'm starting to think. God, do you remember Arliss? Probably not. Robert Wool?
No.
Oh. Listeners out there, write in. Do you remember Arliss? So then, Tim, we get into what I counted to be variations of we're going straight to the Wild Wild West about 35 times in a row.
Yes. Now, this is the outro, and as you said, he basically just says the Wild Wild West with a bunch of big Will hoo-has for
wiki wow
minutes.
All right, Tim, that gets us all the way through the song and into the music video, which is going to be an issue. Since you refuse to believe that the music video online was the music video and instead insisted that the film is the music video, and you refuse to watch the actual music video, claiming all week that it was a, quote, fan film, I will quickly point out a few things from the music video for our dedicated listeners that have watched it, because it's ridiculous. But I'm going to go on a quick fly through, and there's a few things I'll point out that even having not seen it, Tim, you might enjoy. So, the video opens with a very odd Schumacher Batman suit-up sequence where Jim West is putting on his various cowboy paraphernalia in a CGI desert. He has his trademark tiny hat and sunglasses, which is seen in the film/music video that you watched, Tim. Can we talk about the tiny sunglasses for just a second?
Oh, I love them.
Oh, God damn it.
They seem like something that Val Kilmer would wear in the 90s, and that is awesome.
His cowboy hat is too small for my liking.
Oh, I agree with that.
He's too put together. He's not cowboy material.
Well, this is a cowboy on day one. This is a ceremonial cowboy garb that he is wearing into his everyday life, and that's just not how it works.
Sure. So this is like the equivalent of his dress blues.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the music video, the real music video. Will proceeds to dance about in a flaming Old West set on a soundstage for a while. Then Kool Moe Dee appears in his flaming town. Then suddenly they're in what I believe to be the giant spider from the actual movie. And then suddenly Cisco's there and he's dressed like a gay rodeo clown or possibly a Magic Mike. And I love it. They all dance at the camera for a while clips from the movie play in the background. Then the whole song stops and we change scenes entirely to a Old West speakeasy. You remember those, Tim? And
I do. I frequent those.
Gross. Stevie Wonder's there. Alfonso Ribeiro's there. I'm not joking. And a body double of Kenneth Branagh as Arliss Lovelace is there, but he could not be bothered to show up for the filming. So it's a lot of over-the-shoulder shots.
Wait, they got the Fonz, but they didn't get Lovelace?
Not the Fonz, you asshole. Carlton.
Yeah, no, I know.
Do
Alfonso.
You?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
You call him
the Fonz.
Yes.
Curious
I call the guy
Louise.
you call the Fonz Henry Winkler because I have some goddamn respect, and I don't call a human being by a character he played 50 years ago.
I also call him the Wink.
Well, yeah, that's fine. It's like calling Alfonso the Fonz.
Ever since I wrote the short story about the one time I met Henry Winkler, you can pick it up on Amazon. It's called Sniffing the Wink.
Oh, gross.
Anyway, out of nowhere, Will decides to dramatically throw his tiny hat in the air, and it flies through the air until it is finally brought down and caught by Will Smith. He's now dressed instead head to toe in a black three-piece cowboy suit. It is now head to toe in a white three-piece cowboy suit, and dancing commences. Huge choreographed dance sequence. Will rides the pony. He ropes the calf. It's some great choreography. A lot of hip movement, Tim. I really think you'd enjoy it. And then the whole thing kind of wraps up with a giant flaming W for Will Smith, I assume.
Let me ask you this. At any point in this shorter music video, did you see Willard Smith's testicles and hairy taint, or gooch, as you call it?
No, Tim, I didn't, but I'm glad you asked for the first time ever. That brings me to a very interesting and curious moment in the film Wild Wild West. For some reason, they decided it was okay to leave in the shot where Will Smith stands up out of a horse trough, I believe it is, and you see his testicles and incredibly hairy, sopping wet taint.
Yes, you
Why?
do. Well, because this is a children's movie, Garrett, and they got to learn sometime.
I mean, maybe it's to help counterbalance all of the incredibly sexy Salma Hayek through the whole movie, which I gotta say,
it might just be steampunk.
steampunk gooch.
Yeah.
We have a varied and diverse listenership, Tim. I'm curious, listeners, write in hatePodMail@gmail.com. What is the regional term for that space between your testicles and your butthole? Growing up, mine was gooch. Of course, we all know taint, but I'm curious, are there more out there that we're just not aware of? Sometimes I call it my T-zone.
That's true. He does. I call it my G-zone.
That's getting cut. I don't even know what you meant by that.
I don't know what you meant by that. Your Tim zone? What's wrong with you? Anyway, the point is...
No, it's the shape of it.
The point is, if you call it a perineum, no need to write in. We're fully versed on the medical official terminology.
Only ridiculous names. And not made up ones, like things you actually use to refer to that area of your body.
Yes.
Ladies, for the much smaller distance, is there a name? Is it just, I mean, I would have said taint as well. Gooch doesn't seem right
veint.
for a woman. Gross. Maybe, though. Veint. Vaginal taint.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a really good use of nomenclature, Tim. I'm very proud of you for that, but I also kind of threw up in my mouth.
This music video is, I assume, the inspiration for Django Unchained in the same way that this song was the inspiration for Lil Nas X's Old Town Road?
In that it wasn't? Yes. I mean, talk about movies that Will Smith decided not to be in because he, quote, didn't get it.
Yeah.
Although in that one, I guess it wasn't that he didn't get it. He felt that he wasn't the star.
Right. And then he did Suicide Squad.
Oh, God.
We should mention that in this music video, there is the mention of the classic reverse the polarity, which I always love.
Is there?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. What is wrong with you? You missed a reverse the polarity. We're watching this again tonight after Godzilla. 1998's Godzilla, obviously.
Of course.
Will Smith also sneezes what appears to be liquid shit all over his good buddy's face. In his mouth,
that happens. Yeah, that happens.
Just reminded me of that time you sneezed into my mouth.
Yeah, we all had a good laugh that day. Tim, how did this do?
Well, Garrett, this did really, really well. This hit #1 on the US Billboard Hot 100 and Eurochart Hot 100. It was a #5 single on the Belgian Ultratop 50 Flanders, #6 on the Finnish Suomen Virallinen Listen, #3 on the Hungarian Mahaz, #4 on the Swedish Sverige Top Listen, #2 on the Schweizer Hit Parade, #3 in the Dutch. It was the 33rd best-selling single in the US in 1999. It was the 7th best-selling song in Romania in 1999. It was the 43rd best-selling song in the Dutch in 1999. And although it was only certified gold, this single has sold at least 1.5 million copies worldwide, and you can buy it on vinyl right now. This was also nominated for a Blockbuster Entertainment Award for Favorite Song from a Movie, but it lost. And it won the 1999, actually it was the 2000, but it's for the 1999 movie season, Golden Raspberry Award for Worst Original Song. The 107-minute music video also won Worst On-Screen Couple, Worst Screenplay, Worst Director, and Worst Picture at the Golden Raspberry Awards.
I don't know where you get all these statistics. They're getting more egregious and ridiculous each episode. Here's a fun game. Who is more deserving of a #1 hit? Will Smith, Wild Wild West, or Billie Eilish, Bad Guy?
Billie Eilish.
Okay, yeah.
More deserving, but like I'd rather listen to Wild Wild West.
Well, of course. It's not even close. For you.
For anyone.
Tim, what do people think of this?
Well, Garrett, we don't have a Robert Christgau review. We do have a Robert Christgau rating for the album Millennium, if you'd like to take a guess at that.
He gave it a tongue sticking out face. Tiny bomb.
He gave this a little frowny face.
Oh, I was so close with that first one. Should have gone with my gut.
There were 6 reviews on Amazon, 4.4 out of 5 stars on average, 70% 5-star, 30% 3-star, but there were way, way more reviews of the music video itself. Now, to begin with, Go Birds 2 in 2000 titled his or her review Wild 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 Smith. The review says, this guy knows how to put a song together. This was not light material here. You try singing this song. A magnificent job. 5 out of 5 stars.
I did sing this song as Artemis Gordon. It really wasn't hard.
Yeah. Italian Dreamer in 2019 said, I've heard some of this on YouTube. have not played it as it is still in its sealed package. I am building my book/music library and will play it at another time. 4 out of 5 stars.
What? Okay, first of all, why this? You've added this to your collection. Okay, fine, you like it. We don't say this enough, Tim. These are just half-cocked opinions we have. It's fine to like whatever music you want. If you love this and you want to buy this on CD, that's fine. But for the love of God, listen to it. What are you doing? Once I have the collection finished, then I can begin listening.
Yeah,
Huh?
I get it.
That implies that at some point music will be done.
Yeah,
Or that he's just never going to listen.
that's true.
Although I love buying records I don't listen to.
That's true. And I love tricking you into buying things you'll never listen to. Aurora Knight in 2015 titled his or her review, Amazingly Funny. I've never heard this music video back in 2008 until I came across Kevin Kline for the 4th time. I saw
Tim, may I ask real quick before you go on, and then I'm going to ask you to maybe restart this one, just this one. I'm beginning to think that you might have done a find and replace on the word movie. Is that possible?
It's been a long week.
Sure, maybe you did, maybe you didn't. Who knows, right? But for our listeners, in case anybody's a little confused, because I certainly was, let's assume when Tim says music video, we should think movie, and when he says heard, we should probably think saw. Go ahead, Tim, start over.
I've never heard this music video back in 2008 until I came across Kevin Kline for the 4th time. I saw photos and did a little research on it. I wanted to see this badly, and I used to have a 2-movie pack that has this and Maverick. Now, I assume it was a 1 movie, 1 music video pack. I sold it to get only this music video. Each time I see this, I kept thinking of 2 things. One is the time I was in a Western department of a museum in Denver. A book asking, "What does the West mean to you?" And I looked through to find a blank page. As I kept looking, I saw 2 stick figures saying that this was what the West means to somebody else. On one side, it wrote Will Smith, and on the other side, it wrote other guy. And I knew who the other guy is, so I wrote Kevin Kline next to it. Then I wrote that Silverado and this music video are what the West mean to me. Number 2.
What's happening right now?
Number 2 is when I told my mom she can go straight to hell behind her back. And because of that, she asked me to get rid of it. And I refused because I loved the music video so much that I didn't want to remove the music video for good. People have been saying that this was an awful film. Everyone in my family liked it because of Will Smith, and we admire him. I admired Will since Shark Tale. I now have it.
Admired?
I now have it in French and Italian, and they're both fun to watch. I can't wait to see Kevin in Ricky in The Flash and Beauty and the Beast in 2017.
Oh, right.
5 out of 5 stars.
Who's Ricky?
I don't know.
Okay. Wow, that was an incredible review. So my mom told me to get rid of the movie because I told her to go straight to hell behind her back.
How did she find out?
How did she find out? What does that have to do with this movie? Why was the punishment for that removing the movie from your home? Did the movie tell you to do it?
I don't know.
Maybe it was, I don't want you watching that Will Smith and Kevin Kline seductive film where you can see his balls and taint. And she was like, well, you can just go straight to hell. And then later the next day she said, Mom, I told Jesus I wanted you to go straight to hell. And she said, we're getting rid of that devilish Kevin Kline.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, he does.
He's so
that is
friendly.
the thing. If you say Kevin Kline's name enough times, he will pop up like some sort of Beetlejuice character.
God, I wish. I would just talk to him all day about his movies. Even his bad ones.
One more here. Mike Valdeselvso titled his review, West, James West, from 2004. I was a fan of the old TV series Wild Wild West. Full of action, adventure, pretty women, weird plots, and advanced superweapons. What more could you want? How about Will Smith and Kevin Kline as James West and Artemis Gordon? How about Selma Hayek in a corset? How about Kenneth Branagh with 20th century weapons, tanks, trains, and airplanes? This film is lots of fun and full of humor. For example, near the end of the film, the giant spider even blows up half the town of Silverado, which in fact is the set made for the movie Silverado. They saved money and recycled. This DVD has lots of extras from the commentary by the director to behind the scenes documentaries to the music videos. 5 out of 5 stars.
Tim, we have to hear that commentary.
No. I mean, I do own the DVD.
Of course you do. It's just improperly labeled. Godzilla 1998.
Ooh, I might have replaced it with Godzilla 1998.
There it is. Who's this for?
Old West aficionados. You know, those people that want to know what it was really like back then in the times of the
real
Wild Wild
history
West.
Buffs.
Yeah.
Got it. Then that brings us to final thoughts. I have nothing else I want to say about this. What about you?
No, I've got nothing.
Then let's ask it finally after we've been all the way through it. Tim, do you hate this song?
I don't. I'm into this. I mean, again, it's a bad song.
Wicka wicka wow.
Yeah, right there. It's bad. But I don't hate it. What about you?
No, I like it even more. That's brought me a lot of joy this week.
All right.
Watching that long music video and all. Great. So that brings us to listener mail, Tim. You want to go first? Do you want me to?
I can go first.
All right.
And as a disclaimer, there was this YouTube comment by somebody, I won't read his name. I've begun to believe that this is Ed Sheeran. I don't know. It seems like Ed Sheeran. But this was in reference to our discussion about Eric Clapton saying the racist things. And I was going to read this. There's these giant reviews, and you can see here, I've written about 4 pages in response to this. But
yeah, don't read that.
Yeah, well, this devolves into a discussion as to whether or not, and trigger warning here, you are a Bugman or possibly a Jew. This is in our comment section. Bugman v. Jew. You are apparently the quintessential soy Bugman archetype, which is accurate. So yeah.
Not knowing what any of that means, I'll have to take your word for it. Sorry, guys. I guess I'm a soy Bugman. What am I saying right now, Tim? What am I agreeing to?
No, just trust me. It's accurate. Yeah, so I'm not going to do that. I can't.
I'm glad.
I'm not going to respond to it. Anyway, so my email is from somebody who has emailed us a couple times before named Una, probably a fake name. Dear fellows, I have to admit that despite your suggestion, I never listen to the song/album of the week before the episode drops. I'm a bad listener, I know. Yes, you are. I recently decided that all had to change, so I found Chris Cornell's album Scream on YouTube and settled in for some comfy tunage. Ooh boy, was I unprepared. I got about 5 songs in before I got to the point where I just couldn't take it anymore. I gave up halfway through Ground Zero and had to listen to Fell on Black Days on repeat for an hour as an act of spiritual cleansing. My sense of smell has not been the same since. That's troubling in these COVID-y times. I am filled with a newfound appreciation for everything you guys do for the sake of the show. Never before have I witnessed such a grand display of comedic masochism. You are either the strongest men alive, that's nice, or automatons capable of withstanding any type of psychological attack because you are impervious to feeling. I'm not sure which scares me more. Got a little less nice there at the end. Now, I would like to tell you a Neil Young story. My parents are good friends with an older couple that live across the street from them. The husband of that couple, who I will call Dan instead of so as not to get him in trouble.
God damn it, Tim.
Was completely obsessed with Neil Young as a teenager in the 70s. One day he was hanging out with a friend who claimed to know where Mr. Young's house was. As it was not far from where they lived, the two boys decided to take a peek. Upon reaching the house, they quickly realized no one was home, and being teenage idiots, they broke in. Once inside, they suddenly weren't sure what to do with themselves and afraid of being caught. So Dan grabbed the first thing that he saw that looked interesting, a reel of film, and they went home. Dan, now in his mid-60s, still has the reel of film but has never played it because he's never had access to the equipment necessary. My uncle, who's an audio engineer, had a look at it, and he thinks it was probably used to record music rather than video, but who's to say? We won't know if it was definitely Neil Young's house they broke into until it gets played anyway. Now I've got to go because I told my dad to listen to Scream, and he seems to be trying to ground me even though I'm 22. Sincerely, Una. And then she recommends or requests Typo Negative, Bloody Kisses, or October Rust. Send us that fucking thing. Garrett knows a lot about how to make music come from things you wouldn't expect music to come from. We might have an exclusive here. We might have a lost, never before heard Neil Young album. You know what? Don't send it to us. Well, we need to figure out how to play this. Not play the album. We need to figure out what move to make here because I want this.
Listen, Una, this story has to end with that being played.
Yes, on this show for the first time. We need the exclusive.
I will do that for you. Reach out, hatePodMail@gmail.com or gharveytweets on Twitter or album hatepod on Twitter. Reach out. I will get that played. That's not hard. I can make that happen. But you got to get it to me. You got to get it out of your uncle's hands because he's had it for 30 years and he hasn't played it. It makes him kind of dumb. Sorry, I didn't mean that. Reach out. I want that tape.
Yes.
I need that tape.
It's going to be so weird when Neil Young sues us into oblivion.
That's fine. I just want to meet him, even if it's in a deposition.
Yeah. I wonder if
We
he'll
were
let
so
me
close
hug
that
him.
one time. No, he won't. He's
You don't
suing
think so?
Maybe if you just hand him the tape, he might.
I honestly think if he knew the hours, the dollars, the hours again that I've spent on that man, I think he'd let me hug him.
Maybe. But
Maybe
probably not
just
during
let me
an
smell
arraignment.
his flannel.
Well, you'll have no choice. You're going to smell that flannel.
Garrett, did anyone email you this week?
That is not how this works, but yes, they did. My email is titled Sharing an Achievement, and it is from Brianna. Brianna?
Brandon.
No. I'm going to say Brianna. Brianna writes, Dear Garrett, and to a lesser extent, Tim.
Oh.
Off to a great start. Full disclosure, Tim, I didn't read beyond this point.
I'm sure it's going to be terrible.
I just wanted to share with you my achievement of listening to every single episode in order up to within the last 2 or 3 months. That is 160 total episodes. I now have a brain full of inside jokes and references that no one around me understands.
Oh, hold on.
What?
That's kind of on you. You're supposed to be making other people listen to this show.
Yeah, if you have to glue them to an old-timey wheelchair and tape their eyes open, so be it. Ideally,
especially if
just
you
ask them
found
to
the feed.
Well, yeah, obviously. I mean, in a perfect world, just ask them to download it. But, that's on you. Make your friends listen. This Brianna goes on. I cannot hear the word buck wild without having to think about Garrett's fuck style. Getting to think about, Brianna. Getting to think about. Not having
I
to.
agree.
Don't agree. Please don't agree with me. Anyway, Brianna continues. As someone who can admit that I have somewhat garbage taste in music, I love hearing you guys rip apart some of the songs and bands I grew up on. I look forward to listening to your thoughts and opinions in the future. I'd love to hear an episode about All Time Low or Tech 9. I don't know All Time Low. All Time Low is just straight up pop punk whiny garbage that I can't help but love, and Tech 9 is actually great but has some fucking awful songs mixed in. Great might be a stretch. But as possible Prepisode fodder, he does have a song called Straight Out of the Gate featuring Serge Tankian of System of a Down fame. Last thing, I want to say I love what you guys are doing. Keep up the great work. Also, Garrett, I would listen to a whole podcast from you just going through crazy lives of artists. Your solo casts are fascinating. Why, thank you, Brianna. All the love from your 25-year-old listener, Brianna. P.S. Did all the daddy research get destroyed during the, quote, incident at the labs? Just curious because I haven't heard reference to any of it in quite a while. Interesting question, Brianna. No, the research hasn't been destroyed, but as good scientists, Tim and I can't in good conscience release a study without a thorough sample set. And to be perfectly honest, after an almost uncontrollable flow of emails coming in, letting us know how people reacted when they called their significant other daddy apropos of nothing in ideally intimate situations, or as Tim puts it, whilst inside or having someone inside of you. Tim's words, not mine. But then out of nowhere, almost as though some sort of government agency were trying to stop us, or maybe just some sort of insidious outside group looking at you, Big Pharma, suddenly the emails just stopped. So please, listeners, write in. Let us know, how is the daddy work going? And we apologize if you've been writing in and they've been not making their way to us. We could have been hacked, Tim.
Oh, we've been hacked a number of times. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. The other problem, of course, is peer review. So we have to get this is cutting edge research. Not a lot of people are doing daddy research. And so the peer review process, there's not that many people. There's not that many social scientists, psychologists, behavioral economists that do this kind of research to consult, especially that we haven't collaborated with in the past or imprisoned in one of our labs.
Right. Typically, Tim and I serve as each other's peers when reviewing.
Sure. And
papers.
Journals just hate that.
Absolutely. Because, we wrote it together.
Yeah.
Because, we're the authors. All right. Great email, Brianna. Really do appreciate it. Thank you for the compliments. We will take down the suggestions and add them to the list. That brings us to music news of the weird, Tim.
Music news of the weird.
Would you like to go first, or would you like me to?
I would, of course, like to go first.
Of course you would, you selfish prick. Go ahead, Tim.
Well, okay, Garrett. Let's see which one I want to go with first.
No, please, take your time.
Drake has a habit of texting children, such as 14-year-old Millie Bobby Brown, despite being 32 years old at the time, which is at the very best super creepy and something should probably do something about that news. And Drake is a bajillionaire who has really weird and unrelated tastes, including a $400,000 mattress that's made out of stingray skin and horsehair. Drake says that it feels like he's floating when he's sleeping. Also, Drake loves texting children in a way that is incredibly creepy, probably dangerous, allegedly, but legally and technically distinct from grooming according to the Why I Hate This Album family of podcast team of lawyers. They handle our shows and most of them bully Gino. The point is that Drake has a $400,000 mattress made mostly of stingray skin.
Wait, what? I thought this was going to be a story about texting.
Oh no, that's just the setup. That's the intro.
Oh, context, so we all know who Drake is.
Yeah, he's the guy that anytime if you're hanging out with Millie Bobby Brown and you hear her phone ding, probably Drake, allegedly.
My God.
Oh, I am Garrett Harvey, and this has been my opinion.
Stop it. No. Stop pinning your crimes on me.
It's not a crime, Garrett. I'm not texting Millie Bobby Brown. It's at worst a civil offense.
Pretty sure it's slander.
Anywho, Garrett, do you have a news story that may open us up to potential legal liability?
No, but I have some news that's just news of the weird.
Okay.
God. Tim, remember Rob Zombie? The heavy metal musician turned director has confirmed that he will finally be writing and directing a feature film based on The Munsters, the 60s sitcom about a family of friendly monsters. Zombie wrote on his Instagram, "Attention boils and ghouls. The rumors are true. My next project will be the one I've been chasing for the 20 years, The Munsters. Stay tuned for exciting details as things progress." Zombie is, of course, a longtime fan of The Munsters and named his song Dragula after the Munsters' car and has often spoken of his love for the series. Tim, I'm curious, are you a Munsters fan?
No, I've always found it very confusing that the boy is a werewolf, the father...
The genetics of it all has pissed you off?
Yeah, because they don't seem to be the same type of monster. Anyway, that's confusing. Do you think that Rob Zombie is going to make this a movie for children?
I really don't know. Like, is this House of a Thousand Corpses, or is this a Disney movie?
Or is this a Disney version of House of a Thousand Corpses?
It's not going to be that.
Oh.
Not again. What else you got, Timmy?
Well, Garrett, in Prince news this week, Sinead O'Connor is not a fan of Prince. Prince notably wrote her most popular song, Nothing Compares to You, also covered by Chris Cornell, but she recently gave an interview to the New York Times in which she detailed a previously known incident before the release of her upcoming or maybe already released memoir, in which she says Prince demanded she come to his weird Tim Burton-y mansion in Hollywood, and then yelled at her for cursing in interviews, repeatedly yelled at her butler for failing to serve her soup even though she repeatedly asked for no soup, and then insisted on a pillow fight in which he hit her with something hard that he had placed in the pillowcase. Then she ran away on foot, and he chased her first with his car, then jumped out and chased her around the freeway on foot. Now, Prince, you're picturing the right Prince doing all of this. Now,
okay.
We should never, I mean, this is obviously abusive behavior. We're not making light of that. And Prince sounds apparently terrifying. But let me make light of this a little bit. Imagine driving home from work and coming across that scene. Just Prince.
Sinead O'Connor being chased by a tiny prince?
Yeah, man. I mean...
Was that Sinead O'Connor? Was that Prince?
Yeah.
Huh. What do you think they're up to?
I mean, listen, it's abuse. It's not
okay.
It's not okay, but
But just objectively, it already happened. One of them is now dead. If you just happened upon this back in, what year was it? Do you know?
Early 90s.
In the early 90s. Especially the early 90s. We were so innocent then. We were 9 years away from Wiki Wow. If you saw that, you would have just, well, first of all, Prince was,
he was the bee's knees.
Still is. Yeah, that would have been completely shocking.
Yeah, but in the best possible way at the time. If you were an objective viewer that wasn't privy to the pillow fight and the soup incident.
Hey, we've all had a pillow fight where a sharp corner or a button gets a hold of somebody.
And she made it sound like he put like a bowl of soup in there.
I said have some soup.
Garrett, what Prince news have you for us?
I want to have a pillow fight. That's hot soup. Pillow fight.
That is actually true. Prince does not know the difference between pillows and hot soup. It's not his fault. No one ever told him.
Right. Tim, as the world begins to open up again and live music is again a thing, the I Love the 90s tour is back out and raring to go. In the US, it will return this August with Vanilla Ice once again headlining. It will be joined by a rotating crew of 90 stars that include Rob Bass, a man whom I don't know, Kid and Play, Naughty by Nature, Coolio, Young MC, All for One, CNC Music Factory, Tone Loc, Sir Mix-a-Lot, and Tag Team.
Hold on.
What's
Did
that?
you say
What's up?
Kitten Play?
Kid and Play.
Okay.
From the House Party films. Not Kit and Play. From
all of your sexual fantasies.
Anyway, Vanilla Ice wrote on his Instagram, Ice is back, and so is the I Love the 90s tour. We're going to be hitting your town live and in person this summer, so you better get in where you fit in and get back to the 90s where the party never stopped. Tim, would you like to go to the I Love the 90s tour this year?
Yes, I would.
All right, listeners, this might be an official WIHTAMU, that stands for meetup. We might have to all go see this show together. Tim, might be our first live show back together again, since we won't be going to ACL, since it is a flaming hot pile of dog poop this year. All right, Tim, what else you got?
Well, along the same lines, Garrett, Ed Sheeran is making his comeback this year news. Ed Sheeran will soon be performing live again, starting with TikTok's 2020 UEFA European Championship concert, which of course will be held in 2021. He will be changing it up, though. Instead of the loop pedals and whatnot, he will have a full band. The main reason that I mention this is because we have a lot of musicians that listen to this show, and if any of you are asked to be on his tour, don't.
That's your advice? Just don't?
No, he will steal your music and pass it off as his own, allegedly. Don't open for Edward.
I was going to say, maybe we can use him to infiltrate the ranks.
No, he'll still steal from you.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Do you have anything else, Gary?
One quick one for me, Tim. Linkin Park's song In the End has just surpassed the 1 billion streams on Spotify, making it the very first new metal song to reach this milestone, as noted by the Chart Data Twitter account. This is the second time the song, which was first released in 2000 as part of Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory debut, crossed the 1 billion threshold, having obtained the same amount of plays on YouTube in July of last year. At the time In the End hit the mark on YouTube, the only other rock song to experience the same level of success was Guns N' Roses' November Rain, Cranberries' Zombie, Nirvana's Smell Like Teen Spirit, and Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody. I like every one of those songs, but the one I'm talking about.
Yeah. And in all honesty, the new metal song that should have made it is Nookie, right?
Mm-hmm. It really is. Nookie wasn't angry enough, Tim.
Fair.
What else you got?
Well, my last story, Garrett. In 2021, the year of the ox, the year when nothing can or will go wrong, we continued on that upward trajectory as the Gathering of the Juggalos will return August 19th to 21st, 2021 in Thornville, Ohio. If I may read from the announcement from these clowns.
Please do.
Love rises from the ash like the butterfly as we join together once more in reunion, in celebration for the mighty Dark Carnival. This great and hallowed jubilee of Juggalo souls will feature the unbreakable bonds of a tribe that has traveled lifetimes, running and chopping through every obstacle with hatchets in our hands and clown love in our hearts. It will be a new fire, a new moment in Juggalo history as we rebuild, refresh, renew, and rise, igniting the spark of our new dawn together. Quietly, distant in the woods, you can hear the sound and feel the ground tremble with the vibrations of music and laughter. Moments that last forever. The mighty wagons of the Dark Carnival creak and moan as they reawaken and roll on. Listen closely and you will hear the call of the butterfly.
Were those the two that had the butterfly in the jar as children and it died because they didn't poke holes?
Those two and also Rivers Cuomo.
Oh, yeah. Also Rivers Cuomo. Well, as I say every time the Juggalos gather, that forest is going to need a whole lot of penicillin.
Absolutely.
Great, Tim. That brings us to what used to be my favorite part of the show and is now becoming, well, the part I dread the most, where we announce what album we will be listening to for an entire week before we come back here and do the whole damn thing over again. So, Tim, this week we bestowed upon you, as the honorary cowboy of the week, the sole responsibility of picking what album that will be. Please, sir, I ask, what will I be listening to for an entire week straight?
Well, sticking with the Will Smith theme, we are doing Jaden Smith's album.
Okay, that's not Will Smith.
It's the first one, the Sire, S-Y-R-E, I think. That one. We're listening to that. We're going to talk about it. Oh my God.
I've never heard this, ever. Have you?
No, but I bet it's good. I bet it's as good as Wild Wild West. I bet it's as fun as Wild Wild West.
I don't think it's going to be either, but I'll bet it's more fun than Blueface.
Maybe.
Okay, Tim, thanks so much. This has been a lot of fun. As always, folks, if you can, hatepod.com. That's where you're going to find every episode. You'll also find a contact us in the upper left-hand corner, and we want to hear from you. Send us your thoughts, your ideas, your hopes, your dreams, what you like, what you don't like, what you want to hear on the show. Tell us your weird stories about these albums, these songs. If you got some music news, we want to hear it. And most importantly, we have not gotten nearly enough new submissions for theme songs. It could be a show theme song, a segment theme song. You guys have the tools at your fingertips to sample, remix, and add a beat. I want to hear about it. You can also just email us directly at hatePodMail@gmail.com. That's the easiest way to do it. Just hop in the email and write about it. We're also looking for those Apple reviews. Even if you don't use it, that's the best way to help out the show. Hop onto Apple, give us the whole 5 stars. If you don't have time, you can stop right there. If you got a little extra time, write us a weird, maybe even insulting review. We don't mind. Talk about bread. I've seen a whole bunch of that lately. Not really sure why. I think we asked for it, but I don't know why. You could do that. Or just talk about Tim's transparent hair. I don't know. Dealer's choice. In any event, you can also reach out to us on Instagram at HatePod. Twitter, it's album HatePod. You can also reach out to me at gharveytweets on Twitter. Tim's on Instagram, but he doesn't let you follow him, so why bother? If you want to talk to him, try album HatePod. We also have subreddits. We also have Discord servers. There's pretty much every way in the world to contact us except for Facebook because we don't remember the password and we don't care. For Why I Hate This Album, I have been one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey.
I have been the other Timothy P. Richardson, and on June 21st, 2011, Garrett P. Harvey said, "You have an unfortunate encounter with a janitor, and suddenly everyone is calling you the Big Taboo."
That's the first one you've read that I have zero idea when or what we were talking about. The Big Taboo.
There's cowboys running through my dreams. Nothing's quite the way it seems. I joined the Navy, got kicked out in a week. My facial features aren't distinct. Try to find some meaning in these songs. The genius is a genius, got it wrong. No, it's a lobster murder sex thing. It's the bleaching of the rear. A full assault on both your ears. The riffs are too repetitive. The lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides. The cover art's a mess. Listen to it for a week. Now that week has passed. It's the Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Gary.